I don't know about you, but the markets have been pretty wild lately, and if you are wanting to get a handle on all of it, you have found the right place. You have come to Riz International. My name is Chris, and we are going to be doing our weekly market recap today. But before we get into that, I'd like it if you could go ahead and click that like and subscribe button down below. It really helps the channel grow, and so we can reach more traders like yourself who are looking to improve on their skills and become more profitable traders. So we're going to start off like we usually do here on our market recaps, taking a look at the S&P 500. Now, it has been a pretty wild week, to say the least. It had quite the doji day here, on the 21st, on Monday, and a lot of indecision. We were just hanging around that 200 simple moving average that we follow, and we didn't want to test this 4,500 resistance / support level. We did on Tuesday, came back, gapped back down after that nice up day on Tuesday. On Wednesday, looked like the market was going to roll back over, maybe even try and retest 4,400, but the buyers came in, huge green candle on Thursday, and Friday was a bit of an up and down day. If we kind of zoom in here a little bit, you can kind of see this a little better, but really just kind of touching both of these, support and resistance areas. Now that we've broken over and are holding over 4,500, we have came back down and tested that on Friday. Looks like we came within just about $1 of that support area, and we also were testing the 100 simple moving average here, really close to that on the high of the day, and we are just kind of going between that. But a nice green day on Friday, and things were looking pretty good. Now, for our elite members, Riz posted his good dip buy list, and if you jumped in on that, you made yourself a pretty nice profit on pretty much every position that Riz listed in that dip buy list. So one of the huge benefits of our elite members, I hope that they were able to take that, and just in case you're not a member here in Elite, want to make sure that you are aware that we are going to be opening up membership again on May the 4th. That's right, Star Wars Day, so make sure you get in on that if you haven't already got signed up for our waiting list. You definitely want to be part of that so you can get access to all of these features, not just the webinar recordings. Really bullish move here in the S&P 500 over the last couple days, but we are still keeping an eye on this 4,500 level, and there are several things that you need to be aware of moving forward here. I was talking with Riz about this, and one of the things that is going to be on the mind of everybody is going to be the next inflation print. Now, obviously, recently with the Fed announcement of increasing interest rates by 25 basis points, aka 0.25%, that is a move to try and reduce inflation. It's what they did back in the 70s and 80s. It worked back then, so we're trying it again. We'll see if that works, but they have said that they will make 50 basis point hikes this year, and we still have 5 or 6 more hikes to go. So it will be interesting to see how the market stomachs that, and if inflation continues to roll. If it does, and it looks like this inflation, hike really didn't, or excuse me, the interest hike didn't do much for inflation, could be a negative catalyst, to be honest with you. Of course, inflation is a huge issue right now that everybody is keeping their eye on, everybody's worried about, and it is definitely causing a lot of spookiness in the market, for lack of a better term. So keep an eye on that here coming up. That is going to be a big deal, and if the next inflation print is, not good, the Fed's going to have to be more aggressive with how they're going to handle inflation if inflation doesn't cool off a little bit. So be an eye on that. It's uncertain how the markets would react to a 50 basis point hike. Of course, it didn't react too poorly on this recent interest rate hike, but 50 basis points is not 25. I know that this is really complex math that I just whipped out on you there, but trust me when I tell you 50 is not 25. So it's one of those things that it will depend on how baked in the price this next rate hike is going to be. It's definitely something that we are keeping an eye on here in Riz International, and of course all of our elite members are going to get notified immediately when we find out anything as far as inflation, things of that nature. Now, one of the things to be really careful about is this next resistance level, which is going to be 4,600. If you're in long positions and we're getting close to 4,600, it might be advisable to go ahead and take some profits. Make sure you lock it in. If there's one thing that we have seen in this market is that it is very fickle. The moves up are fast and the moves down are just as fast. So it's one of those things where we need to be taking profits more quickly. It's not like back here in 2021 where you could hold it and ride it and, we're having a really good push through most of that year and, things were looking great. It's not the case this year, guys. We're having a lot more volatility in the market, and it is, a lot more crucial to make sure that you are locking things in. I got a question that came in. How likely do you think we may retest 4,200? Before the next inflation print, given the inflation scare and the 50 basis points comment from the Fed? It will depend primarily on what the print is and how bad it is. If it's really nasty, then I think we could see a retest of 42. It definitely could do that. If it's not as bad, or we do see some cooling in inflation, I don't think it's going to go, starkly the other direction on just a 25 basis point hike. But if the numbers are less than what are predicted, then that could be taken positively by the market. Be like, oh, look, they're doing stuff and it's working, and so we're happy about that, so we're going to buy, and everybody rolls with it. That's one case. If the print is bad and it's worse than they expected, then yes, I definitely think we could see a retest of 42. I'm not going to say we will, definitely do that. It's anybody's guess, and anybody who tells you that, yes, this is what's going to happen, they're full of it. But if the inflation numbers are bad and the rate hike seemed to have done nothing, we could definitely see a downturn if the market views that as a negative thing, and I think they probably will. However, if things continue to roll and we get closer and closer to 46, it's definitely time to start taking some profits. Make sure you lock it in. As I'm, have said before, and I'll say it again, no one ever lost money by taking profits. All right? So don't be scared to go ahead and close some positions, maybe a little bit earlier than you usually would, that are in the green. The last thing we want you to do is take a trade that is going well, and then you try and bag hold it for longer, and then you get bit pretty hard. That's happened to all of us, of course, but in this market especially, it's incredibly important to make sure that you're taking your profits a little bit sooner, just to make sure that you get those profits, as opposed to having to bag hold for months and months while we have one of these things happen again. Let's take a look at the breakdown of the S&P 500 here. Not too much has changed, to be honest with you, though utilities has busted out over the zero line, which is impressive. Financials is basically sitting flat, and everything else is underperforming, except, of course, the energy sector. But we'll just leave that alone for a minute, and we'll talk about it here later. S&P 500 still down 5.25% on the year, 5.24 for all my perfectionists on YouTube who will chime in the comments. By the way, please feel free to leave a comment down below about that's not exactly 5.25. Creative license here, I will go ahead and say that 1/100th of a percent is okay to round to. Real estate and tech also still underperforming the market right now, both down below 8%, tech down almost 10% on the year. Growth stocks still getting hammered, though we are seeing a bit of a recovery. You'll notice here this coinciding here from the 14th, where we started bouncing back up on the market. Everything else started to go with it, and that's one of the things you don't want to trade against the market, and this is why. Even if things are down, if the market starts rolling back up, then we will typically see some recovery, and lo and behold, wouldn't you guess, the energy went too, mostly driven by the run-up in oil here. Of course, the Ukrainian conflict is still going to be front and center in the news. I refer to it as doom scrolling, because you can spend all day looking at what's going on in Ukraine, and trust me, having my own personal connections there makes that incredibly easy for me to do, so I have to resist that urge, to kind of curtail how much I'm taking in. Basically, what I'm trying to tell you right now is make sure you're taking care of yourself, especially in very, somewhat uncertain times like we have right now, make sure you're keeping an eye on yourself. Make sure you're keeping an eye on your mental state so that you are sharp and ready to go when you need to be. Oil, of course, there's been a lot of talk in the news about oil. Russia saying that they're considering only taking rubles for Russian oil. Of course, North America is not buying Russian oil right now, so don't run out to the bank and buy rubles. You should be fine. But that being said, the price of oil is still ridiculously high. Looks like we closed here on Friday at $113.90 per barrel for light crude. Pretty high. And I know that we're all feeling that at the pump. Lord knows I am here in Indiana where I live. I'm sure that you are as well. I know all of the horror stories, especially from the West Coast, on what the price of gas is, which is just straight up ridiculous. But oil continuing to push up here. Again, if you were an elite, I won't go over this trade, but we did take a short, a put option on USO, and we were able to capitalize on this little bit of rollback here on oil and took profits on that Friday, if I'm not mistaken. Really, really solid. Quick little flip trade there. Can't beat that. But yeah, oil still rolling here. Came down here, looks like to about 94 on the 16th, and we bounced up off that. And it continued to roll. Of course, as the conflict continues, and if escalation continues, we should see the price of oil to continue higher. If there seems to be, movement as far as a ceasefire or talks are concerned, we may see oil come back down. We'll have to keep an eye on it, but oil pretty much front and center on the Ukrainian conflict at this time. Gold kind of came out of its channel here last week by the 8th, and we came right back in, and we are holding steady here right at 1957 is where we closed on Friday, right below my resistance line here at 1967.59 for gold. That does seem to be holding right now, and this is the channel that gold has been in for quite some time. Let's see, since about September of 2020, we've been in this channel for gold. We only broke out a little bit here, and look, we broke out a little bit here, and we came right back into it. So gold pretty much channelized. It used to be a hedge against inflation. Well, if this is what a hedge against inflation looks like, this isn't a hedge that I'm interested in, based on the way that inflation has been handling itself as of late. Really not a very big move out of gold at all things considered, and we are not currently trading it. Bitcoin starting to make a bit of a push here over the last couple of weeks, several green days in a row. Very nice bullish move, though it does seem to be petering out here over the weekend. Apparently people don't trade crypto on Saturday and Sunday, I guess. Just kidding. I know that they do, but not as much volume at all, especially yesterday and today. The new trading day for crypto has already started. So 40,000 was giving us some fits, but does seem to have been defeated here, and we are starting to make a move up on Bitcoin. We'll have to see what it does when it gets closer here to the 200 simple moving average. Of course, we do not have a position currently in Bitcoin. We do have many of our members who do trade cryptocurrency, and that is completely up to you. Just be very careful and understand what you're getting yourself into. We did get into one trade this week. Let me pull that one up. That would be a Microsoft. Microsoft in on the 21st, which was Monday at 297.28. So this one looking very nice. Already pushed into profit target too on Friday with that nice little gap up right over that. So that was really solid. Riz's stop loss is spectacular on that. Based on YouTube policy, I won't be able to repeat the stop loss, but if y'all are an elite, you can totally read that and chuckle as you may. But very nice move on Microsoft going here. So looking really solid. We're still holding that one. And again, not recommending that you take this trade, just letting you know what we are in right now and what we're looking at. And, that's kind of where we're at. Yes, Yas read it, which is spectacular. But, really nice move here on Microsoft, doing exactly what we're hoping it was doing to do, rather, and it continues to grind up, push through the 200 simple moving average twice, and is holding above that, even though we did have a bit of a red day on Friday after that gap up. We came back down below the 200, and we pushed back up before the end of the day. So Microsoft looking very good here. If you hold, then you should be fine if you want to hold longer. Otherwise, if you're concerned about a downturn in the market, you can always take the profit now and be happy with that. I did get a PM question, and for everyone here, if you do have questions, go ahead and post them in the chat. I would love to talk about them. Sam would like me to take a look at Ulta. Ulta Beauty. Now, I got to tell you guys, the wife loves going to Ulta. So he says, hey, Chris, could you take a look at Ulta on the webinar? Looking to see if it continue its move up to the 420 area and to new all-time highs. Good question on that one. That seems a little bit aggressive, not out of the realm of possibility, but as the market continues to be, down at this point, I'm not looking for this to hit all-time highs, right away. Can it make it? Absolutely, it definitely can. And very nice little uptrend here, not too huge. Obviously this has a lot of intraday movement to it, and it is looking pretty good, if you ask me. But am I going to say that it's going to run to 420? Seems to be. Oh wait, hang on. This is the perfect opportunity. So you think it's going to run to 420? You might be a little high. There we go. There we go. That's your dad joke for the day. A little bit of an aggressive move, expecting it to just go straight back to 420. Is it possible to do that and push over it? Yes. But with supply chain issues still being a problem, with the threat of potential, escalation and conflict in Eastern Europe, I'd be a little hesitant on expecting it to run back to all-time highs right away. Sorry, talking too much. Got to hit the water a little bit. So it does have the potential to do it. Absolutely. It can totally do it. And, it's looking very good. But it does seem to be up a lot, down a lot, up a lot, down a lot. So a lot of intraday volatility with this one. If you're profitable on this, you can continue to hold if you so desire. Looks like earnings were pretty decent. Yep, we got a beat on both earnings and revenue, so can't complain about that. Looks like Ulta beats a lot. Based on the last couple of earnings prints here on TradingView. So, you should be fine. Go buy your mascara and your lipstick for your partner, and you should be good to go. I'll probably be doing some shopping there tomorrow myself, so I will do my part to help the stock price. Are you doing your part? You know what to do. But yeah, technically looks pretty nice. Definitely holding over the 100 here is pretty solid. It is, kind of getting that point where it may kind of come back down a little bit. Looks like we did that a little bit on Friday. We'll have to see. But if you want it to make it back to 420, you're probably going to be in for a little bit of a wait. That's kind of my opinion. I don't think it's just going to run back there. Of course, if the market just continues to steamroll, then yes, that will help it for sure. But is the guarantee it's going to make it on this push? I can't say that for certain. But can it get there? Yeah, it can. So, what other questions you guys got? Is there anything you're looking at you want to discuss? Nike. Swoosh to the downside. I don't like it. I don't like it at all. Not just because of my moral qualms with Nike, but with the potential talks of sanctions on China and things like that, and a potential, again, growing conflict in the South China Sea or Eastern Europe or both. Little hesitant on Nike here. Obviously, we're in a really solid downtrend. I don't like the fact that we came up to the 50 and we just rejected that completely. And we're really just kind of hanging here while the market is steamrolling. I don't care for it. Earnings look like earnings were pretty good, all things considered. So, I can't fault them for that. But, yeah, I'm not a big fan of that. All right, Zach wants to talk about everybody's favorite payments, stock, PayPal, getting absolutely wrecked and still having a hard time. Looks like we kind of came up to this 120 area, and that has been a bit of a resistance zone, and we're just kind of trading sideways. So this one obviously is something that we have been holding in, Elite for quite some time. I know a lot of our members are holding it and just patiently waiting. And that's, really all I can say at this point is continue to hold. Earnings obviously were not spectacular. They missed by a penny per share, and everybody freaked out. So down she went, which is frustrating, especially when, the company is making money. It's making quite a bit of money, in the billions. And yeah, it just gets hammered like this. So very frustrating, especially with all the news that had happened around surrounding PayPal and things like that. I mean, we're still in the downtrend. I hate to put it that way, but that's just the truth. Let's see. I can draw it for you. There we go. So, I mean, we're still in a pretty strong downtrend here on PayPal, though this consolidation is somewhat, it's somewhat comforting to me. The fact that we haven't completely given these gains up that we've had over the last, like 2 weeks, I would say is positive. If it continues to consolidate here, it could be working towards another move towards the upside. If we come and run into this resistance line here, again, I'm not saying that this is gospel, but it does seem to be following this a little bit. And if we can't push through that, then that could be a bit of an issue. But if we continue to consolidate and start making a move back up and break through this downtrend, then we should be in business. So it really kind of comes to the point we need to start making higher highs. And honestly, if we can get past this 140 and this 120 area, I think we should be in very good shape on PayPal. I know we've been holding this for a long time. I know a lot of your averages are in the 200s. I get that. It's going to take a while to get back there, but I think you can do it if you give it the time. And this is just one of those things where you kind of get into a black swan event and you kind of get stuck for a little while. But again, solid company, solid payment system, not going anywhere. Earnings are spectacular. Should be okay in the long run. It may just be a bit of a longer hold than you wanted. But I do like this sideways consolidation here after this move up. That's definitely a positive sign. Of course, no problem, Zach. Always happy to discuss it. I'm going to talk now because the dog next door is barking, and if my dog hears it, we'll have to mute the mic for a hot minute. But looking really solid, guys. I want to touch base here on the S&P 500 a little bit more. Really huge move over the last couple of weeks. I would not be surprised if we saw some retest of 45, even if news is good and inflation isn't too bad. I still think we may see a bit of a pullback because after this huge move over the last 2 weeks, I wouldn't be surprised if we cool off just a little bit before we start making another move. Now, does that guarantee, that it means that we're going to do that? No, we could just keep rolling, guys. That's one of the things. We could just keep going and not quit. We could go and retest 46, and we'll have to see if that happens here this week. That's something we're going to be keeping a very close eye on. And these resistance and support levels have been pretty accurate so far. 42 seems to really be the spot at the bottom where they don't want to let it go below there. There's a lot of buying pressure down there. As evident here, this candle, my gosh, on the 24th, this, of course, is when the conflict started, if you recall. So if my memory is correct, and I'm pretty sure it is because I've been living it every day, but even after that happened, huge push towards the upside. There's a lot of buying pressure down here, guys, at 42. I'm not saying that it can't bust through it and hold below it, but man, there's a lot there. And 46 has been pretty solid. Is it a worry that we have this rally on declining volume? Now, that's a very good observation. And yeah, we have had a little bit less volume here over the last couple days. Let's get a better color. Maybe like teal. Yeah, that'll work. It is a bit of a rundown here, but, we had this really huge move on this volume here. And so that was, definitely supported by the volume. Honestly, this is just kind of a bit of bouncing here over the last 4 or 5 days. I mean, I understand it looks pretty big, but in the grand scheme of things, it's not all that much. If we look at where we kind of closed, we moved up, less than 2% this week? So not a huge move, not like the week before when we kind of started down here. That's a 7% move, and that volume is fairly fair for that type of move. It is a little concerning that volume is decreasing a bit. That is a very keen observation, so thank you for putting that up. Looks similar to what we had at the end of January and February. Well, let's take a look at that, shall we? Obviously, going in here at the end of the year in December, this is not surprising. The last couple trading days of the year are always bad. I think what you're referring to is right here, this dip here. But I mean, honestly, even if you look here, even with this volume coming down a little bit, we still had a nice move up here. So I wouldn't read too much into the volume. It is an interesting point to note. And maybe that is more people running into, commodities and things like that. But still, we are having a push towards the upside on that. So I wouldn't be too concerned. Any news catalyst will spike the volume like we have here on the 18th. So these things can definitely happen, pretty quickly. And 18th, if I'm not mistaken, was the Fed announcement. So, yeah, I mean, volume is down a bit, but not to the point where I'm overly concerned. Let's see here. So we did just south of 2 billion, and average is 2.74. We'll round. So, I mean, it's not terrible. Was it option expiration? I thought it was the Fed meeting on the 18th. I could be wrong. The options market is something I don't really keep a huge track on. Okay, so I was a couple days off. Thank you for correcting that. So the 16th was the Fed announcement. I knew it was somewhere in that time frame. Yeah, it might have been the options expiration. That's entirely possible. Thanks for keeping me honest there. Appreciate it. But yeah, overall things are looking good. We are still going to be trading incredibly cautious right now because of everything going on. I hear you, Yas. I hear you. So yeah, we are going to be trading more defensively. We'll be taking profits earlier. Of course, all of our elite members are going to be alerted to that. As I mentioned earlier, if you made it this far in the video and you're not a member of Elite, May the 4th be with you. Star Wars Day. That's when we're opening things back up. So if you're not in Elite and you want to be in this, you want to be on these webinars live and get all of this info from our private Discord channel, then you owe it to yourself to make sure that you join then. We'll have a link in the description of the video. And I want to thank all of our Elite members, of course, for sticking with us and being part of this amazing community that continues to grow. I know all of us in the trading team and Riz himself are incredibly humbled by this community of amazing traders that we have. We are very blessed to have each and every one of you, and we're so glad that you're sticking with us. So I want to suggest go have a relaxing weekend, what's left of it. So you got about a day and a couple hours, at least if you live here on Eastern time. And go enjoy yourself and just relax, be rejuvenated, and we will be back at it on Monday. With that, we will see you later. Have a great evening. I appreciate all of you. Good night, everybody.